Sometimes I can hear the sound trying to make sense in my brain.
Truth Lies in Alzheimer's with Lisa Skinner is a podcast that is airing on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC.
Is what I need to change the world. A few bunch of
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to our show, Truth, Lies, and Alzheimer's, the podcast. I'm Lisa Skinner, your host. Let's go ahead and start this conversation.
silent fear. Sometimes I can hear the sound trying to make sense in my brain. Smooth melody comes to life after the
Cope, don't struggle. Navigate the challenges of Alzheimer's.
piece of paper and love is what I need to change the world. A few bunch of words in this song written for me and for you. All the things we can do for the sake of the nature we love.
Our goal is to get to the truth, dispel the lies and myths, and unveil its secret faces. Understand what it's truly like to live with this disease and focus on what really matters, spending quality time with your loved one.
We can do this. Push all the darkness away.
Hello, everybody. This is our special holiday episode of Truth, Lies, and Alzheimer's, the podcast. And I'm Lisa Skinner, your host. And today I'm going to talk about tips to maintaining the holiday spirit with Alzheimer's in the house. You know, the holiday season is that special time of year for us to celebrate with our family and friends through sharing, laughter, and creating lifelong memories. Getting everything done on time can be highly hectic, though. So here are some tips to hopefully help you tame the beast. Many families struggle with the decision as to whether or not to include a loved one who is living with Alzheimer's disease and dementia in the festivities. Is it a good idea to bring them along or not? Well, a person living with Alzheimer's disease will often feel a special sense of loss because of the changes in their behavior due to the disease. Families and caregivers sometimes feel overwhelmed by trying to balance the maintaining of traditions with the stress of caregiving. So, the long of the short is, it's not only a difficult decision to make, but it's a difficult question to answer. Every person living with Alzheimer's disease experiences the disease differently. So you need to take into consideration how the disease is impacting each person individually and how a change in their environment affects their personalities and moods. But the holidays can be enriching times for both you and your loved one diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, as well as the family and the caregivers. Family traditions provide a feeling of belonging and identity. It's a link with familiar past that can be quite reassuring for a person with the disease. However, holiday celebrations, which may include other people, can also cause confusion and anxiety for the person living with Alzheimer's. So here are some tips for creating a safe and stress-free space. One of the things that we know as the short-term memory continues to diminish throughout the stages of the disease is people will start pulling from their long-term memories. So what we want to do is help them connect with their life in some capacity. And since they'll be pulling their life from their long-term memories, we want to try to trigger those memories by bringing things to their present of things that remind them of Christmas past. So things you can do is decorations that they'll feel familiar with. For example, the beard, the white beard that Santa Claus wears, and the elf costume, and the Christmas tree, and playing some soft, mellow Christmas music, maybe from decades ago, that they will recognize and perhaps enjoy singing along with, because this will trigger memories for them. And believe it or not, they will probably remember the words to the songs from the Christmases of long ago. These are all things that can make the experience for them so enriching and so pleasant. And the one thing that's really important to understand, they may not remember being there with you, but they'll remember the wonderful, joyful feeling that the environment provided for them, the music, the Santas, the decorations, the candy canes on the trees, the kids opening their gifts. They will remember that joyous feeling for a long time. It does not fade right away like the memories do. Some other tips to be mindful of is that most people living with dementia do well with a routine and with familiarity, just like I mentioned. So keep them in familiar locations, but try to keep it as free of noise as you can. Try to keep the environment calm. A less hectic environment is always a better option than a hectic one that actually can cause agitation and fear and nervousness. Too much clutter can do the same thing, or a stressful situation. An overload of stimulation can trigger emotions that can actually escalate into a potential catastrophic reaction that frankly you just might not be able to manage, especially if you have family members, friends, caregivers around. So calmness, stress-free, clutter-free are all really positive ideas for keeping your family member as happy as possible. Another tip for coping with the holidays and Alzheimer's disease could include determining what stage your loved one is in. So keep in mind that if your loved one is in the earlier stages of the disease, it's often much easier for them to cope with the changes going on in their environment versus a person who's in their mid to latter stages of the disease, where a change in routine, a change in environment can cause escalated confusion and then trigger fears and nervousness. As the disease progresses, the person living with dementia becomes more and more confused and less able to understand what is happening around them. They can also become easily agitated, frightened, and can trigger that fight or flight instinctive mode. They'll want to lash out, or they'll want to escape that environment because they're afraid. Unfortunately, the world that they're living in today, especially when they have a change of environment that they're not familiar with, really makes no sense to them anymore. So they will rely on their emotions to react to any situation that comes up. So keep that in mind. They lose their ability to reason and to determine whether or not something is a little deal to them or a big deal to them. If you do decide to include your loved one, you may want to limit the amount of time they visit with the family. They do tire easily, and the longer they're there and the more commotion that's going on and the more people that are active around them, they will react to that eventually. If you notice any changes such as nervousness, anxiety, irritability, or a sudden change in their level of confusion, these are telltale signs that they are not coping well with the current environment. You can also pay close attention to their body language and demeanor to determine if they are increasingly becoming upset. It's best to have somebody stay with them at all times. Do not leave them alone because they may feel anxious and unaware of what's going to happen to them. So try to keep a family member or caregiver with them in attendance at all times to reassure them that they're safe and that you will be taking them home soon. And then the last tip is take charge and set your own limits. Be clear about them with the other people that are there celebrating the holidays with you. You don't have to live up to the expectations of your friends or family. As a caregiver, your situation is very different now. You need to find time for the holiday activities that you like to do, like taking a walk or baking cookies. And the smell of those cookies baking in your oven can do absolute wonders for your mood and for the person that you're caring for as well. We need to tap into all 5 senses and provide a sensory environment for them. Taking care of the caregivers is also a very important way to celebrate the holidays. So again, thank you for being here with us. We are on this journey with you, and Doug Collins, my co-author, and I want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. Thanks again. Truth Lies in Alzheimer's, Its Secret Faces by authors Lisa Skinner and Douglas W. Collins is a concise guide for caregivers navigating the heartbreaking challenges of having a loved one diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and other dementia. Everyone has an Alzheimer's story. It's time to start that conversation about Alzheimer's disease and stop treating it like it's only family business. You can find it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and other fine booksellers.
A piece of paper and love is what I need. Sometimes I can hear the sound trying to make sense in my brain. Smooth melody comes to life after the rain. Small piece of paper and love is what I need to change the world. A few bunch of words in this song written for me and for you.